Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the show. I am so excited. I'm your host, Kenya, aka Kayin Lee, and today we have a very special guest. She is an actor and a cosplayer, and her name is Katie Otten.
Hello.
Hi there. I didn't check beforehand. Did I pronounce your last name
No, it's
correctly?
actually Katie Otten. I realized I should have said
As
that. Yeah.
as I said it, I knew it. I knew it.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to the show. I'm so happy to see you.
Oh, thank
We
you.
You're welcome. It's really cool, like just being talking in real time because we've been talking
Mm-hmm.
for like almost a year
Months.
now.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Katie, if you guys haven't noticed, she's been portraying Ophelia from the
Mm-hmm.
Dragonborn saga, which just makes me so excited because she did such an incredible
Oh,
job.
thank
And
you.
I can't wait to share more of
Mhm.
that project.
Yeah.
But I would just love to get to know you more on a deeper level.
Mhm.
I found myself super intrigued, like, um, I'm huge into cosplay. I grew up first grade, I was introduced to anime, and it's
Uh-huh.
been huge part of my life ever since.
Oh,
Like, what's that been like for you? What was that spark of inspiration for
yeah.
cosplay in particular?
Oh my gosh. Well, it's all really connected for me. So I had a brother who's 10 years older, and when I was growing up, he was always really into video games and like anime and especially video games that had really rich, beautiful stories like JRPGs and things. And so I found myself being drawn to that too because I was just around that. And um, I remember in fifth grade, I was in my very first musical, my first show, and I remember standing on the stage and being like, okay, this is how I can play pretend forever. Like, how, because I wanted to know how I could take my love of video games and stuff and like make that into a thing. And theater was the way to do that. So I kind of just dove into all of that, and I've been obsessed with nerdy things my whole life. And I tried cosplay for the first time in high school. I went to a convention and was like, I don't know, I'll try dressing up. And I loved it so much because people kind of automatically talk to you as your character and like
Yeah.
call you the name of your character and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is just like acting. And I loved it so much. And I loved really getting into that character. And so, yeah, so it's all connected for me when I'm modeling or acting or anything. It's all one and the same. And I love it.
Yeah, I love that. That's so exciting, and I could feel your passion and joy for from it, just in your speech about it. I did cosplay one time, and that was my first time at Dragon Con,
Oh, nice.
and it was a blast. I actually did one of my characters,
That's so
and
cool.
yeah, it was so fun because like it's like the moment you put on that
Mhm.
costume, you're not you anymore. You get to
Yeah.
be that character. You get to walk in their shoes. You're a walking celebrity for the entire time you're wearing that,
Uh-huh.
especially at those conventions. Like, what was the
Yeah.
convention you went to?
That one, my first one was Anime Central in Chicago.
Oh, that
It was
sounds
another
like it
really
was
big one.
big.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm
It's
sure you
super
couldn't get
cool.
3 feet without people wanting to take pictures.
No, and I was like a really obscure character, but the people who knew them were like, "Oh my gosh," but
You think it's obscure until you're around a convention of nerds, and then
yes, exactly.
I love that. I just went to Dragon Con again for
Oh,
the first time since I went years ago in
yeah.
character. And I didn't dress up. I did art dark academia the whole time
Mhm.
because I'm obsessed with that look right now.
Aw,
There's just something very, it's almost nostalgic, even though I
yeah.
never got to go to boarding school or
Mhm.
Hogwarts. Uh, dark academia is just so, it's just very captivating, and this
That's
is the perfect
awesome.
season for it. Yeah, it
Oh,
was a lot of fun.
yeah.
So what would you say
Mhm.
is the best part about um, you getting that idea, getting that inspiration to combine your joys and passions and taking that leap forward?
Yeah, I mean, it felt like really just getting to be more of my genuine self. I think a lot
Mhm.
of people spend a lot of their life like trying to hide who they are or be a certain way for their coworkers, or whatever. And I discovered like if I'm doing the things I love, I'll always get to just be myself. And so it's something I really strive to do is like not hide who I am or
Mhm.
feel ashamed of it. Like we should all just be able to like be who we are and love the things that we love. And um yeah, so I felt that acting really, which is, it's funny because acting is trying to be someone else, but like by
Mhm.
doing that, I got to be more of myself. And I think
Yeah.
it's taught me a lot of empathy because until you act, like you don't really step in another person's shoes. And like that practice of doing that, it's just helped me understand people better. And I love that.
Yeah, I think that's so fascinating to think about the whole dichotomy of that concept of taking something that's traditionally thought of as an escape, video games
Yeah.
and cosplay and acting, but it actually helps you unlock a deeper version of yourself, the more
Yeah.
authentic version of yourself. I love that
Mhm.
so much because whenever I'm writing or acting or anything, um, you kind of get to this place where you get to have your inner self reflected outward,
Yeah.
and it's such a like chills when you get to
Uh-huh.
that moment. And have you ever seen the movie Soul, the Pixar
No.
Disney?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh my gosh. I put it on for my kids because it's animated, but I
Uh-huh.
felt myself like looking over their shoulders like, what
Oh,
is going on in this movie? It was quite profound because they
yeah.
had the concept of the film is Jamie Foxx is a musician who has always wanted to play for a band, but he's a
Mhm.
teacher, and he gets that big shot to play for a band, but he has an accident and dies.
Oh
And I'm like,
gosh.
wait a minute, what are you guys watching?
Yeah.
And then it gets deeper and deeper and deeper where they go into the whole concept that we all get the pleasure of feeling when we're
Mhm.
doing the things that our soul really craves. The
Yeah.
zone. The zone, when you get into the zone, whether it's you're running or you're singing or you're dancing,
Yeah.
there's this like in between realms feeling we get
Yeah.
into.
It's
Do
like our
you
truest self for sure.
Yeah, yeah. And I love how they portrayed that. And I don't know if my kids really got it, but I think
Mhm.
they did though. My kids are quite
Yeah.
intuitive and perceptive.
Aw.
But it was just very special to see that in commercial media.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, and there's this is something I've been thinking a lot about lately is like there's such a pressure in America, especially to be like, well, you're not really a writer or an actor unless
Hmm.
you're making your living doing this. And I hate that idea.
Yeah.
It's like everyone is an artist in some way, and like they just don't make that easy in this country to like make your
Yeah.
living on it. And so no matter how much you're doing it, if you're doing the thing you love, like that should be what defines you. And yeah, it's just frustrating to me.
I agree. That's I'm glad you brought up that point because
Mhm.
um I feel like we are constantly breaking down the stigma of the starving artist and
Yeah. Oh.
there's no future, it's not a real job. But
Mhm.
I think we're starting to learn and it's starting to be enlightened to people, especially with TikTok and YouTube and
Yeah.
giving people a platform to
Mhm.
express themselves and their passions,
Yeah.
and also showing people that it can be monetized. It doesn't have
Mhm.
to. You could just do it for the
Yeah.
joy of it, but it's
Yeah.
actually some
There are
showing
ways.
people that there is
Uh-huh.
a way,
Yeah.
and I really love that.
I was gonna ask, how did you come up with the idea? Because I think it's still a pretty new idea to, as a writer, to like take moments of your book and make them into video. Like that, that's such a huge leap. Like, how did you come up with it? And it's brilliant, but
Thank you
what made
so
you think of
much.
that?
I
Yeah.
feel like I needed to hear that
Aw.
because I've always thought outside the box. Like I've been published since 2013,
Wow.
and I've been writing since literally second grade. I wrote my first book when I was 11,
Mhm.
and I've had a long time to think about what I want and how I want my vision to be out there. And I just had this idea. It's like, especially after I was on my first movie set,
Oh, yeah.
I think that was the catalyst for me because I got to be on the other side, something I never thought that I would do. But I
Mhm.
felt the energy, and I was like, and I actually had one of the girls that was in the movie with me. I was like, she was preparing for she was practicing, she's studying acting in college.
Uh-huh.
So she was like, do you have anything I can read? And I was like, sure. So I let her read from my book. And I almost want to cry right now because
Oh,
when she sat there and as an actress read
mhm.
the dialogue from my story,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was like a whole different, it was like a light bulb.
Oh my
I was like,
gosh.
whoa, that was so cool.
Yeah. Oh,
So I've always had the I've always felt that there's no use waiting around for someone to discover
mhm.
you, to come pick you up out of the
Yeah.
crowd and give you that shot. I'm all about making opportunities, whether it's for
Yes, me
myself or
too.
for others. Yay!
Mhm.
I love that. I did see on your Facebook that you got to do like a film with your friend, the
Yeah.
fantasy one. And
Uh-huh.
I was cheering. I was like, yes, yes,
Aw.
yes.
Yeah, I've wrote and produced 2 seasons of a YouTube show, and it was
Yes.
so uplifting. It happened because of COVID, because I lost a lot of
Mhm.
jobs, and I was like, "What am I gonna do?" But it was the best thing that could have happened because until then, I had this idea of, yeah, like, you have to wait to be discovered, or you have to wait for the right thing to come along, but, like, the chances of that are so low, and then you have all that time where you could be making beautiful stuff, and so
Yeah.
I just that's the biggest thing I tell people is like go make it happen. Like go write the thing and just even if it's low budget, like make it just tell the story because otherwise it's a story we don't get to hear. And
Yes.
yeah, it was super like it was also very empowering to know like, oh, I can just make whatever I want and it's really cool.
Like once you do it and the nerves are out, you're like it starts to become like, okay, I need
Yeah.
more. I need more of this.
Uh-huh.
Let's keep this going. Yeah, I'm glad you shared that feeling. It's I'm hoping that we can encourage more people to have that
Yeah.
initiative. I think people's biggest thing is getting over the fear.
Yeah.
Um, but we see that so many things are shifting and changing and evolving. There's not as many gatekeepers anymore to a lot of these industries. We used to have strong gatekeepers to publishing. You had to have an
Yeah.
agent. You have to be in the big five. And luckily, we had like Amazon break down some of those gates and allow
Yeah.
people to express themselves. Same with film and everything. You
Mhm.
had to go to film school, had to get a producer to read your script.
Yeah.
Now it's like we have people making movies with their iPhones and they're going to festivals.
Mhm.
Like that's incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I think the technology and the platforms that we have um, are heavily inspiring people to really go after their dreams. And
Yeah.
I hope that we just see um, more people doing these things.
Mhm.
Yeah, I
Me
love that you
too.
wrote and produced your
Yeah,
series. That's so
it's
exciting.
really cool.
Yeah, have you
And I
always been
learned
into
so
writing?
much. I mean,
Yeah.
there's so much I would do differently, next time around, but, like, you
What
don't
did you
know until
learn?
you go in. Yeah.
Tell me one of the biggest takeaways you learned from that.
Money is so hard to come by. Like, I 'cause it was really important to me to pay everyone involved because I just
Yeah.
know that I want that to be a precedent in this area, and I was like,
Hmm.
if I wanna ask other people for that, then I need to show that same consideration, but, like, I'm just an actor myself, and so we did a lot of fundraising and, like, crowdfunding stuff, but, yeah, it's just hard when people have so many things they can choose to put their money towards, like,
Yeah.
it's a really tough thing, but and scheduling, like, everyone is so busy that getting everyone together is really tough,
Hmm.
but I enjoyed kind of the puzzle piece of it too, and yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of fun.
Mhm.
It just came to me this whole um like you said something very profound about just going for it, getting it out there. I
Mhm.
agree with that. I definitely fully believe that when we have a creative inspiration, a story idea, a movie idea, and we let it rot, we let
Mhm.
it sit and we don't water it, we don't give any energy to it. I think the universe sometimes sprinkles that onto someone else. And then that's why we sometimes see, I had that idea. And it's like, yeah, you
Yeah.
did, but you didn't do anything with it. And it
Uh-huh.
was meant to be told.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to do it in a grounded way.
Mhm.
Don't do it sloppy. Make sure it's good. Make sure you're happy with it and
Yeah.
you're proud of it. But don't let it sit. Don't let that
Yeah.
manuscript sit in the drawer for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years.
Mhm.
And then get mad when you see Amazon Prime has it on
Yeah,
video now.
exactly. No, we gotta get it out there. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I saw that
Mhm.
I saw that huge in the community a few years ago with the show Carnival Row. Have you seen
Oh.
that? It's about the Fae and the humans.
Oh, really? No, I haven't seen it.
Oh, you would love it. If you're
Yeah.
into fantasy like me, you would love it.
Yeah.
And I saw so many authors like, I had that idea. I had that idea.
Oh,
It's like, yeah, we had that idea. It's like it's a
yeah.
story that needs to be told, not just because
Mhm.
we need to know about fairies, but it also is almost true to life to see how the fairies are being oppressed by the humans.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Ah, that's so cool.
yeah, I think it's really nice when art can reflect what's going on in
Mhm.
our lives because I think like you said you learned empathy. These
Yeah.
things teach empathy to the people who view it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
What was your
sure.
experience with that learning empathy through I mean I'm sure you already had it before but like
Uh-huh.
getting a deeper connection with that
Yeah.
empathetic.
I mean, I think it really is a learned skill because when we're children, like, all we know is, like, what we want,
Mhm.
and I think they do teach it in school a bit, but, like, there's
Mhm.
so much more that could be, like, more connection that we could have, and I think until I started acting, I didn't really know how to truly, like, step out of myself and be like, "Oh, this is what someone in this situation might be feeling," or, like, what a character completely different from me might feel, and it was really hard at first. Like, I remember, because 'cause I'm someone who's just always tried to be, like, happy and bubbly and all that, and the first time I had to play someone who was really angry, I was like, "I don't know how to do this," and I felt really
Yeah.
uncomfortable and strange, and, like, but once I let go of that and, like, really let myself consider it and just try things, I was like, "Oh, no, like, there's so many reasons that someone might feel this way," and learning not to judge my characters. Like, I
Mhm.
when I started, I'd be like, this isn't a good way for them to react or thing for them to say or whatever," and now I'm like, "No, everyone has a reason to do what they do," and, like, it's so cool to learn from all my characters too, and
Yeah, it is. And that's really, really enlightening because we all, you know, we're not going to get too deep into psychology here, but there are people
Mhm.
who are not predisposed to having empathy at all.
Yeah.
Um, and you're right about children having to have it modeled to them
Mhm.
throughout their experience in school or with friends at home. But I found it interesting to kind of like go a little bit deeper about your experience dealing with a character whose personality is far different from your own.
Yeah.
So I think that's really special to kind of feel that, embody that, and understand where it comes from. Because I think
Yeah.
that's the key is knowing where it comes from helps you capture the energy of the character the
Yeah.
best. Did you have any techniques to help you connect with the character?
Yeah, one thing that really helped me was because I think we so easily focus on the differences, and I did
Mm-hmm.
that at first. I'd be like, "Well, here's all the reasons that this isn't like me," you know? But once I stopped and started to think about, "But here's all the things that are similar to me in this character," like, that makes it so much easier to connect when we focus
Yeah.
on, the things that we have in common, you know? And
Mm-hmm.
I think that might just be a thing in life too, like,
Yeah.
finding where we intersect with people and, like, the things that we share, like, that makes it just easy to get to know them.
Yeah.
Mm.
Oh, it just reminds me of like how we as an audience,
Mm.
hold on one second.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no, that's my son in the back.
Aw.
How we as an audience, um, we can connect with the villain in
Yeah.
movies, and the best villains are the ones that you can feel empathy
Mhm.
for. In particular, Loki. Loki
Aw.
in the Avengers. I definitely felt very empathetic for him, like in the scene where he just wanted to prove himself to his father. So he
Yeah.
did things really poorly, but you can connect with that desire,
Yeah.
especially learning he has an abandonment wound from being adopted. So
Yeah.
it's like when you learn those, that's why backstory and like motivation is so important for writing a character
Uh-huh.
or acting a character. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to know that stuff. And sometimes the script doesn't give us that. And then it's
Yeah.
our job as an actor to fill in the gaps and to know it for ourselves, you know.
Yeah. Has
Yeah.
that been your experience, or have you ever had a director who has tried to connect you with the scene?
Yeah, there's sometimes where I have to ask questions if I'm like, genuinely, why are they making this choice?
Mm-hmm.
And the director can usually help and really like fill that in. And maybe it's something the audience never even knows, but like if the actor really knows why they're doing something, it will come through somehow, you
Yeah.
know? So yeah, it's important to know those gaps where you can.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So what would you say is the biggest um, lesson you've learned from going after, let's just say acting in particular?
Mhm. I think, well, I mean, like I said earlier, just sort of jumping in and like making stuff and not being afraid to like fail and to make a fool of yourself because that stuff's going to happen no matter what. So you might as well get through that stuff and like find the good because, yeah, that's always going to happen. And I think finding your inner child again, like I think as we grow up, especially in America, we're forced to like be an adult and like get a job and do all these things and like forget about playing pretend
Yeah.
and like that, but that piece of ourselves is so important. And I think the more that we can all hang on to that too, like not only is it going to help us as performers and actors, but like, gosh, just that feeling of pretend, like I don't want to ever lose that again. And
Yeah.
yeah, so just hang on to that. It's so important.
I agree. I agree. I totally agree. Like hang on to that inner child
The
as long
wonder.
as possible. Yeah.
Mhm.
It's really beautiful when you can, you know, take the concept of approaching every day with like childlike wonder,
Yeah.
because it makes you appreciate like even the little things like, wow, it's a sunny day. There's a
Mhm.
rainbow. Like
Rainbows.
yeah. Like I still get so pumped when I see a rainbow. It's just like
Yes.
such a
Oh
magical
my gosh,
thing.
I'm obsessed with rainbows. That's so
Me
cool.
too. Me too. I'm like, oh, that's the sign I was looking for. Yay.
Yes. Aw.
I love that. But, you know, I'm really curious. You know, we are from a Western culture, like
Mhm.
born and raised in the States. Have you done any traveling to different countries and like gotten to connect with those different cultures?
Yes. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
traveling is so important.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to leave their country. Um,
Yes, they do.
I've sadly not gotten to work in other countries. I would love to do
Yeah.
that, but I've been to China and Japan and England and Scotland, and I want to go so many more places. But
Yes.
once
It
you really like experience another culture, it's so eye-opening because you see
is.
not only the things you appreciate about your home country, but oh my gosh, all the things that we could be doing better. It's like, oh,
Mm.
like how it's so simple, clearly, and it's crazy, but it gives you such
Yeah.
perspective. And,
That's so fascinating because I definitely can see a lot of duality in how, you know,
mhm.
different cultures approach different things, but it's also important to like really pinpoint the different mindsets associated with these places.
Yeah.
Like it's really like if we could go to Sweden and try to like embody their policies and take them back to where we are. Like
Yeah.
we could try, but it's so fascinating because the ideologies are different, you know,
Mhm.
the way they approach um the way they approach a lot of things that we approach would just be different,
Yeah.
and we would have to evolve our way of thinking.
Yeah, our
Like I think
values.
about, yeah, I
Mhm.
think about my time in South Korea, and
Oh,
um yeah, and I think about um like we talk about that inner child,
yeah.
and I taught English there, and it was
Oh.
very, yeah, it was so much fun. But I think about how the children, the
Mhm.
pressure, the
Yes.
pressure to not to study all day
Mhm.
and then go home and study some more.
And, like,
Like,
know what they wanna do already
yeah,
by the time they
yeah.
get there. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, there's a lot of pressure, especially with the
Yeah.
testing, and the feeling of failure, the
Mhm.
fear of failure. So I would wake up and it'd be 10 p.m. and I would look
Mhm.
across and there would still be kids in the classroom with private education after the public education. So
Yeah.
it's like, say we go there and we, and we are like through English teaching and
Mhm.
immersive schools, and try to bring some of our um, culture. It's
Yeah.
really lovely when it works.
Yeah.
It really is. I actually worked in an immersive school. So the people
Oh,
came
cool.
in and they left their English names behind, and their Korean names, and got an English name and could only speak English.
Wow.
So
That's
it was
so
like,
cool.
yeah, yeah. But
Hmm.
then I think about how the culture and the mindsets, how vastly different they are from
Yeah.
here.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Every place has
Hmm.
its things to work through and
Hmm.
values. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that's cool that you got to do that. So was that a long time ago? Or is
Yeah,
that?
that was a long time ago. Like I had my 24th birthday there,
Oh,
had a blast, and that was literally my first time ever leaving the country.
wow.
So
That's cool. Oh my
I
gosh.
got an opportunity. I was like, let's go. And
Hmm.
you
You
know
got to
what?
take those opportunities.
You do.
Yes. Oh
I
my
I
gosh.
am I always say, when a door opens up for you, that's an
Hmm.
opportunity, and it's like it may be a while before that door comes back. So
Oh yeah.
jump through.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was really cool because um, I think about that being my first time leaving the country, and even though it's such a homogenous society, and I stood out like a sore thumb, like literally, I think I saw like two other women of color my
Oh
entire
gosh.
time,
Yeah.
and it's like I still didn't feel culture shock. I didn't feel
Wow.
culture shock there. I felt at home. It was weird.
Hmm.
But
It's
it
really
was when I went
cool.
to Morocco that I felt culture shock.
Huh.
So it's like somewhere where I fit in, but it's like the
Yeah.
culture was very different.
Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Have
Hmm.
you felt culture shock on your travels?
Oh my gosh, yeah. When I was in China, I spent about a month there visiting someone I knew, and in Shanghai, I didn't really feel anything because
Yeah.
there's people from all over the world there, but where I was staying was like a smaller city, which is still like the size of Chicago, but for them it's smaller. And yeah, I had that experience of like being one of maybe like 10 American people there, and people would like follow me and like take
Yeah.
pictures of me and be like, "Wow, you must be a famous person." I'm like, "No, I'm just traveling." And like um yeah, that feeling of like standing out, I hadn't really had here much, and
Yeah.
it's surreal for sure. And
It
and just
is
the way things are
surreal.
done in China is so
Yeah.
different, even from Japan. And yeah, I love learning about all of it though.
Me too. Even though it was odd to have literally every person staring at me all the
Uh-huh.
time, and wanted to touch me, like they're
Yeah.
like, oh, it's like I get it. It's like I'm like from a foreign planet in
Yeah.
regards to how
Oh my
they're
gosh.
set up. But
Mhm.
yeah, it was also life changing because
Yeah.
I was such a painfully shy person
Oh, sure.
before I went, that it literally forced me out of my shell. It was like
Yes.
the culture
Yeah.
had a hammer and just cracked my shell open
Yeah.
and kicked me out.
And teaching does that. Like teaching, you have to be confident even if
Yeah.
you don't feel it. Like you got to fake it, and that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Luckily it was young children, which I've always been
Mhm.
comfortable with.
Aw, yeah. That's so
Yeah, but
cute.
yeah, I agree. Guys, if you're have any opportunity to travel abroad,
Mhm.
please take it. I
Yeah.
encourage, if you're in college, take the study abroad program
Mhm.
every single time. It
Yeah.
just it shapes you in such a different way,
Mhm.
because it also brings great gratitude for what you have,
Yeah.
because sometimes you can see the holes in different places, even if they're the most utopian. You're like, but I
Mhm.
still miss my mom's cooking, or
Oh,
whatever
yeah,
little thing it is.
for sure. Aw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, we are going to have another episode just to talk about travels,
Yeah, it'd be so exciting.
because
There's
I
so
could go
much to
on
talk
and on
about,
and
I feel like.
on.
So easy.
Yay. I would love to get your last advice, guidance, inspiring words for anyone that has a story or has a dream, like
Yeah.
what would you say to them?
Yeah. I've talked a lot about like how to get that started, but and to just jump in and do it. But I also, on the other side of it, if you're already doing the thing you love, a very wise theater teacher once told me, like, it's great if you're doing the thing you love already, but what else? You need to have other stuff in your life that you love too and that fulfills you. Because she said to me, I can see how much you love acting, but if you were to lose that someday, like what else do you have in your life? And so fill it with all the things that fulfill you, the art and like anything else and the people that you love, like all of that is equally important and should define you just as much. So
Oh, that's beautiful advice. I love that. Thank you so much for sharing, and
yeah.
thank you to that teacher for passing that on.
Mhm. Awesome.
All right, Katie, where can we find you to follow you, cast you, whatever? Mhm.
I'm on katieotten.com is my website, and then all the social medias, I'm just katieotten13, Otten. And Inner Worlds is the name of my YouTube series if you want to check that out. But you can find that through all the same places. But I love connecting with people, so tell me about your stories. And
Oh my gosh, you have the best energy. I am
oh,
it's infectious too. Like I'm the same, just like always bubbly, always happy. It's like it's so
yeah.
cool to connect with someone like-minded.
Life's too short, man. Just
It
be excited.
is. I agree. And I also believe we can choose how we want to feel.
Yeah.
We can choose, you know?
Sure.
And that's a heavy statement because
We
not
also have to
everyone
let
can
ourselves
always
feel
choose, but
the rough
yeah.
things, like we have to
Yes.
feel the whole gamut and be okay with it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Katie. All right, guys, make sure you follow,
Bye.
subscribe, rate the channel. We love you so much, and we'll see you next time.
Yes. Bye.